Mary Butler.
Lascian Corla, thank you for the opportunity to speak at second stage on the Health Bill 2018, Regulation of Termination of Pregnancy. As we are all well aware, on the 25th of May this year, the people of Ireland voted overwhelmingly, voted clearly and emphatically to remove the 8th Amendment from the Constitution, which acknowledged the right to the life of the unborn, with due regard to the equal right to life of the mother. As a result of this decision, the onus is now on the Oireachtas to legislate for abortion in this country. As many of you are aware, I strongly support the retention of the 8th Amendment. I strongly supported the right to life of every unborn child, and I still do. However, I stated clearly after the result of the referendum that I would not obstruct or oppose the passage of the legislation through the Dáil. I will engage constructively through all the stages. Minister, I was surprised that pre-leg scrutiny was not an option in the case of this bill. As being chair of the Oireachtas Committee for Business, Enterprise and Innovation, this is a process of legislation that is used frequently. Can I ask what was the thinking behind this decision to not engage in pre-leg scrutiny? Minister, during the many discussions prior to the referendum, you promised, as did the Taoiseach, safe, legal and rare abortion. I will be holding you to account on this. Some concerns that I will be hoping to address at committee stage are concerns I had during the campaign. I refer to the section under risk to life or health, page 9, which states, "A termination of pregnancy may be carried out in accordance with this section when 2 medical practitioners have examined the pregnant woman and are of the reasonable opinion formed in good faith the fetus has not reached viability." And what I would like to tease out is what is the definition of viability, accepted in Irish maternity hospitals as 23 to 24 weeks. This is deliberately vague and seems to allow for abortions late into the 2nd and 3rd trimester. Viability is the point at which a child can survive outside the womb, with or without medical assistance. This is not a fixed point in time, and with medical advances, children are surviving at an earlier and earlier age. If an unborn child has passed the point at which medical technology can support that child outside the womb, there should be an absolute legal prohibition on any abortion at that point. The bill contains no express cut-off point at viability in the case of abortions under the so-called emergency ground, where a doctor certifies that an abortion is immediately necessary to avert an immediate risk to the woman's life or of serious harm to her mental or physical health. Minister, my next concern is in relation to unborn babies with disabilities. During the campaign, Minister Harris stated that disability, including Down syndrome, would be excluded as a ground for abortion in any legislation. There is absolutely nothing in this bill ruling out abortion on these grounds. The Oireachtas Committee on the 8th Amendment looked at the area of disability and specifically excluded it as a grounds for a termination. They actually differed from the Citizens' Assembly, as noted by Minister Harris in the Seanad on the 17th of January 2018. And my question is, why are there no specifics in relation to disabilities in this bill? I have read it several times and I have not found the word disability anywhere. Minister, I, like others, have been contacted by medical and health professionals the length and breadth of the country who have grave concerns about freedom of conscience provisions in the bill. The right to freedom of conscience is a fundamental right, protected by the Irish Constitution and the European Convention on Human Rights. As one doctor told me, he trained for 11 years and entered his profession to protect life, not take it. Minister, what is proposed in the bill is to force doctors to refer women for abortions against their conscience. This is deeply unjust. There are many medical and health professionals who will carry out abortion procedures, and they were to the fore during the referendum. However, there are many more who simply cannot agree, and I quote, "to make such arrangements for the transfer of care of the pregnant woman concerned as may be necessary to enable the woman to avail of the termination of pregnancy concerned." For example, in New Zealand, although the health professional does have a responsibility to inform a patient that she can avail of abortion services elsewhere, there is no direct responsibility on the medical professional to transfer the care of the two patients to end the life of one. This is indeed the crux of the issue. And I was struck yesterday when I met a young nurse who was 33 years of age. And when she was in her first year training at 18, she found herself to be pregnant. Her son is now 15. And she actually told me that she will be leaving the nursing profession as a result of the referendum in her case, because she just feels that she might move on and maybe work with older people or work in nursing homes. But for her personally, she's just too conflicted, and there's just no way that she would be able to work in a situation where the life of an unborn child might be ended. And I think we certainly have to respect and we have to listen to the medical people who are very conflicted on this. During the debate prior to the referendum, there was many discussions on how we can reduce crisis pregnancies. We need to have that discussion again. How can we support these women faced with the most difficult choices? Homeless women that are pregnant. A couple of weeks ago we heard about a woman who was homeless, living in emergency accommodation, who had stillborn twins. The stress of her situation cannot have been easy. Perinatal hospices, for those that are faced with the most challenging circumstances, that whatever the decision they make, the supports have to be there for them. If they decide to bring their baby into the world for however long, there will be wraparound supports, and they need to be there. And I do accept that we couldn't continue to export our problems. And I do accept that there was many couples found themselves in the most horrific circumstances, that they were expecting a baby that had a fatal fetal abnormality, a life-limiting condition, and the only option open to them was to go abroad, was to go to England. And I know that wasn't right. I accept that wasn't right. But at the same time, I do accept that for those who want to bring their baby to life, no matter how long the baby might live, for 6 hours, 6 days, 6 months, the support has to be there. I do believe that sex education in school is hugely important. The importance of this cannot be underestimated. The importance of this vital information for our young people. We need education about dealing with crisis pregnancies, about dealing with all the options now. I do also agree that free contraception is hugely important, especially for young women who might not always be able to afford it. This, I believe, will certainly limit unplanned pregnancies. I do believe it is vital that there will be no reduction in the mandatory 72-hour waiting period. This was a core part of the proposals which the government fought their referendum campaign on, with the Taoiseach and others promising that the existence of a waiting period would be a safeguard against abortion as the only option. Whereas if the woman requested counselling, this service could be available to them. It is vital for women that have an unplanned pregnancy that they may not want to go ahead with that the option of someone to talk to go through all the options are there. And whether that woman decides that she may want to have an abortion, or whether she decides that maybe no, she won't have the abortion, whatever the situation the woman finds herself in, there is no doubt about it, there should be counselling there for all women so that they can take the decision that's best for them. Minister, last week in Budget 2019, 12 million was allocated for abortion services. Can we not see similar ring-fence funding put in place to support those in crisis and unplanned pregnancies who might want to have their baby but who might not be in a financial position to do so? They might be homeless, they might be in an abusive relationship, or they might have health implications, especially in relation to their mental health. As I have said at the outset, all legislation needs to be debated respectfully and diligently, and this legislation is no different. I will engage at all stages to try and strengthen this legislation so that abortion will be, as promised, safe, legal and rare. Gorv Mahabut.